the intro was graphic. Welcome back to Wake Up, Shift is Happening. I'm Deborah Peach, and today is December 25th, 2015. Merry Christmas to everybody who is celebrating this holiday, and happy holidays to whatever holiday you're celebrating, if you are celebrating. Today's show is a very unique combination of closing the energy field from the show that we did 3 days ago. In addition to that, we have two amazing treats for you. One is, I'm here in Reno live with my dear friends, Jeff Davis and Beverly Riley. And we've got live music for you guys. So we're starting off the show today in a very unique way. And they're going to perform three songs. This first song is, it's kind of interesting because I wanted to weave the songs that we were choosing to do. I wanted to weave them into the show in certain ways and kind of set a context. So this first song that they're going to play is one of their, I think it's actually going to become very popular. It's called Ha Ha from Baja. And the funny part about this is your sweet revenge song.
It is.
Okay, well, first of all, hello.
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 Hello. Merry Christmas.
And so when you guys hear the words to this is with this sweet revenge. What I kind of thought about was, there's if you believe in the possibility that there have been people on the planet or forces on the planet and even perhaps off planet that haven't necessarily wanted us to evolve, that haven't necessarily wanted us to experience our great awakening. Well, this might be a song for us to rejoice in the evolution and the awakening and the abundance that we are now experiencing. So I'd like to introduce you to their music, Jeff and Beverly.
Thank you. I wrote a song and just hit number 5. You wish me dead, but now I'm more alive. I'm doing more than maybe just survive. It was a long and really uphill road, but now I know what Jimmy Buffett knows. Just play some country with Jamaican soul. I'll give the cake so with my freedoms. I'm doing anything I please so. You said I never amount to much, just an old guitar and a pickup truck. But now the radio plays all my stuff. I'll take the case over my freedom. I'm doing anything I please, so I'll be an eagle. Well, you took everything except my songs. You thought you were right, reckon you were wrong, so wrong. I'm throwing points out to the cheap horse. Just tip the barmaid with a C note. She treats me better than you did, so I'm you eagles. I'm you eagles. I'm in the case with my freedom. I'm doing anything I please, so I'm an eagle. I'm an eagle. I'm in the case with my freedom. I'm doing anything I please, so I'm an eagle. Thank you.
Okay, and yes, we are live from Reno, and that is the Haha from Baja specialty song for those of us who are going to be singing the Sweet Revenge as we awaken and transcend this enslavement matrix. So, since it is Christmas, they're also now going to do
White Christmas.
And if you feel like it, sing along.
And we have beautiful snow everywhere.
We do have White Christmas here in Reno. Well, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Tell me, girls.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops listen and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases, may all your Christmases, may all your Christmases be white.
All right, so Jeff,
Yes,
you are wearing a beautiful vest.
I am.
And I was wondering if you could share with us where this beautiful vest came from.
This came from the Pyramid Lake Paiute Native American Indian Reservation, made by a woman named Elmira Copeland. Elmira is 82 years old, and she is one of the top. Some of her works in the Smithsonian Institute.
Wow.
And the guitar strap I'm wearing along with the vest, everything was made by hand. Even her relative killed the deer, did the hide, it's all hand stitched. And Elmira does all the beading.
Fantastic. Really beautiful.
Thank you.
And also, I would also just like to share, we didn't plan this, but I'm going to just share a little bit of conversation here in regards to how I know Beverly. And she and I met about 2.5 years ago. Can you guys see her behind me? No? Hi. How about this? So Beverly and I met about 2.5 years ago when so Beverly and I met, I'm being asked to speak up, about 2.5 years ago. And it had to do with the GCR, interestingly enough. And we became kind of instant remembering soul sisters. And the first time that I was coming to Reno, I called her and I said, I didn't have an agenda. I just was being guided to come here and do some energy work. And I called Beverly and said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to be in your area. And the first thing she said was, well, where are you staying? You have a place at my place. And I was like, okay. We had never met before in person. And that's the kind of person Beverly is. And so is Jeff. And so we are spending this time with them here in Reno. And as you know, Sean is here with us, and you're going to also be meeting the other guest that's here with us today in just a few minutes.
It's a big surprise, you guys.
It's a big surprise. And there is a reason that we're here in Reno. And what I'd like you guys to visualize, and not just visualize, but engage with now as we go into this third song, is that this field is being broadcast out. And all around Reno, not only all around Reno, but all the way out globally. Now this next song, which is a cover that they just learned, and Jeff came up with the idea for this song. So you want to tell them what the song is?
It's an old Kenny Loggins song, and it's called Celebrate Me Home. And I don't know, I just feel like it was so appropriate for today.
Absolutely.
And what I also would like you guys to engage with as you listen to the words of the song is that home is where the heart is. And we're here in Reno, and right now, this is where our heart is and where our home is. And Beverly and Jeff have opened their home, and it has been absolutely stupendous. And gracefully and easily have allowed for us to do the two shows, the one that we just did on the 22nd and the one here today. And so perhaps there's going to be a lot of upheaval in the coming months, year. And so it's important that we each engage with coming home and knowing that home is where our heart is, no matter where we are, no matter who we are with.
And I just want to say, we have felt so honored and happy to have you all in our home and spending Christmas with us. Thank you so much.
It's been really amazing. Thank you. All right.
Okay. 2, 3, 4. for the holidays. I believe I've missed each and every face. Come on and play my music. Let's tune on every love life in the place. I finally found myself totally surrounded in your circle. Whoa, my friends.
Please celebrate me home. Give me a number. Please celebrate me home. Play me one more song that I always remember. I can't recall when I find myself so all alone. Won't you sing me home?
Celebrate me home.
Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate me home.
But I'm finding you, but I'm found the wrong. Come on, celebrate
me home.
But I'm finding you, found the wrong. Come on and celebrate
me home.
But I'm finding you, found the wrong.
Celebrate me home. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate me home. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate me home.
Thanks.
Okay, so we were only scheduled to do 3. How are you guys feeling? Are you open to do an encore? This is live impromptu.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes?
If you'll hand me the red cape over there.
This is a surprise for me too.
Yeah, Bev doesn't even know what I'm going to call for her to do.
Oh, this is, I think, one of the prettiest songs written and recorded by Nora Jones.
And I just want you all to really hear the beautiful voice this lady has.
He's my biggest fan. I waited till I saw the sun. Don't know why I didn't come. I left you by the house of fun. Don't know why I didn't come. Don't know why I didn't come. When I saw the break of day, I wish that I could fly away. Instead of feeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand. My heart is drenched in wine. You stay on my mind forever. Out across the sea, I would die in ecstasy. But I'll breathe this bag of bones, riding down this road alone. My heart is drenched in wine. You stay on my mind forever. Something had to make you run. feel as empty as a drum. Don't know why I didn't come. Don't know why I didn't come. Don't know why I didn't come.
Okay, so doesn't she have an angel of a voice?
She does.
I mean, a voice of an angel.
She does.
You guys are too kind.
Thank you.
Way too kind.
Okay, everybody, this was the first part of the treat of the show. You have been tuning in to Wake Up, Shift is Happening. I'm Deborah Peach. This is Jeff Davis and Beverly Riley.
Yes.
We are live from Reno and we're taking a break. Stand by. We're going to reset and introduce the guest for the show today. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Scott Bartle. You know what it feels like after you've just got off the phone having had a really toxic conversation? Or that feeling where you're sitting in traffic and you can feel your frustration levels rising? Or even the dreams that you might have after watching a really violent movie? These are just ordinary events that we're all quite familiar with. But what happens when we start talking about energies and entities that are getting into our fields and causing havoc? How do we identify these, and how do we get rid of them? You can clear these energies and entities out of your own field. There's no need to have someone else do it for you. Check out clearyourfield.com to see some of the clearing tools available to help you on your way to mastering clearing your own field. Okay, and welcome back.
Actually, sorry for a little bit of interlude there. Welcome back to Wake Up, Shift is Happening. And I said I had another treat for you guys today. Well, look who is here in studio. Miss Patty McPeak, also known as Nana.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and it's so happy to be here with you, and I'm more surprised than anyone. I didn't know I was going to be doing this today.
So, yeah, because you're up in Tahoe right now.
Yes.
Well,
state line.
Right.
Yes.
And we just had a pretty big storm, and you had a lot more snow than we even did.
We had over 2 feet of
yesterday.
Snow. Yes.
Right.
So it was a challenge getting here down the mountain.
So she literally has come down the mountain in pretty intense weather pattern, and so, and we weren't sure if you were gonna be here. So we are here in studio, and this is actually the first time that Patty and I are meeting in person, just a few hours ago. So I'm feeling very blessed to have you here, and that we get to do this closing of this portal, which is actually a very auspicious situation in regards to even your background with Jack Kennedy, JFK. So we're going to get to that in a few minutes. And what I would like to do is just have everybody just come back into alignment here. That opening of that show was obviously very different and unique. I hope that you enjoyed it. And yes, I believe, but Beverly, what I forgot to actually talk about, because we were dealing with some technical issues in the background, is that Beverly, she hadn't sang for like 30 years. And when I got together with her, and she was actually on different conference calls where I was doing activations for the GCR back 2 years ago. Well, so she became activated, and she started singing again after 30 years. So, and then she met Jeff, and, you know, they formed this whole duet situation in a band. So here we are, it's Christmas Day. Now, for those of you that did get an opportunity to engage with the first show, which was 3 days ago, you'll understand, and I just want to presence that here, that these are just not random shows, that there is a cohesive and a cohesiveness and even a context that's being set here. This show today is for the closing of that portal that we activated 3 days ago. Now, what I would like to do is have you guys communicate. We're going to make this a shorter show than normal, because the other shows have gone into two and plus hours. We're not going to do that today. If you're there live and you're IMing in the IM chat, I would like to hear from you to see if you were there for the show that we just did 3 days ago, and let us know if you experienced anything from the activations. If you could just share that while you're in the IM chat, that would be great. And then the other thing too is, if you're listening to this as a replay, and hopefully if you engage with the first show and then you're engaging with this one, you can also share. If you want to email, you can email it to contact us at shiftishappeningtv.com. We're going to really start tracking what is happening with you guys with these activation energies. So Jack came through. This was the first real public transmission of bringing JFK through. And today I'm actually going to ask, he's going to be communicating again. And well, actually, he's already saying he wants to wish everyone very Merry Christmas. And before we started the live show, we cleared our field, all of us together. Sean and Scott and Helen was there, and Beverly and Jeff. And we had a lot of energy coming through. So I just want to presence that this broadcast is going out to the planet right now, around the globe, around the world. And the intention of this is that we are thrusting the energies of I am love, I am light, I am gratitude. And I also want to presence that today is a full moon. This is a rare situation, and apparently this has not occurred since 1977, and it's not going to occur for another, I think, 20 years or something like that. But with a little bit of research, because it was brought to my attention, Sean discovered it, and then it was brought to our attention from someone else as well. From a little bit of research, it is my awareness that there is a rare planetary alignment occurring right now. And so the intention here also, even with this broadcast, is to utilize the energy of this full moon and of this alignment, and to thrust these energies of us catapulting a dimensional shift at this time, and that we can actually shift timelines. And if you did already engage with that show that we did 3 days ago, you know that timeline manipulation and timeline traversing was brought up in that show. So thank you. I'm seeing that some of you are sharing information there in the IM chat. And remember, this is experiential transformational media. This is your opportunity to be not just a viewer, but to engage. There is a purpose and an intention with everything that we're talking about and everything that we're doing. And it goes beyond edutainment. This is really about anchoring this new earth reality. Okay, let's get into your history.
Okay.
With JFK.
Yes.
So, Patty, we've already had a show where you talked about your history of who you are and your experiences with Saint Germain and multidimensional, and all your success with business, and that you know that there's things that you're here to do on the planet, right?
Oh, yes, definitely.
And many of us are going to be working together very cohesively in team situations, which we're already starting to formulate now, right?
Yes, we have a real community.
We do.
Yes.
And in fact, if you don't know about that, what we're referring to, the one part of what we're referring to is the online community, which is New Earth Global Community. And if you have not gone there, and if you do want to participate, and I just really want to say that the disclaimer with this is a community that is intentional, that is to have you be engaging rather than just hanging out, seeing what other people are doing, etc. It's really about having you being engaging. And it's about us moving into this new earth reality. So the website for you to go to actually engage with that is wakingupwithdeb.com. And then you just click on the community button. Okay, so let's go back in time. Where would you like to start in regards to Jack in your situation?
Okay, well, in 1963, I was living in Austin, Texas. My husband was getting his master's at UT, and I was working for the first cousin of Lyndon Baines Johnson, and we handled all of the insurance for the LBJ company, for Claudia Alta Taylor Johnson, who was also known as Lady Bird, and for all of the key employees that were associated with Lyndon at the time. And I had one of the best jobs that you could have as a woman at that time in Austin, Texas. And so we were all looking forward to President Kennedy coming to Austin after he left Dallas. And we were going to have a big state dinner. And so on Monday night, prior to the assassination was on the 22nd of November, which was a Friday. And on Monday night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was in a hospital room, and I was standing next to a body. And the body was covered in a sheet, and the walls were a pale green. And I looked at this body, and I knew who it was. I knew that it was Jack Kennedy. And I went into work the next day, and I was very, very disturbed. I was very upset. And this was not terribly unusual, because I've had many, many precognitive dreams in the past. So, which really freaked my husband out a great deal. But anyway, I then went into work, and I was in a trance state for the next 3 days. And I did things that I have no way of explaining. I was supposed to go to the Democratic headquarters to pick up these tickets for the state dinner, and I wouldn't do it. And I said that they won't be needed. And I told everybody.
Wait, so you actually didn't go do what you were
No, I
supposed to
didn't.
go
No.
do?
And finally, on Wednesday afternoon, the man I work for, his name was Huff Baines, said, Patty, go get in my Lincoln and you go down there and pick up those tickets right now. I said, okay. And he had given 2 of the tickets for my husband and myself, and he had given them away to one of his clients. So when I got down to the Democratic headquarters, Eugenia Sapp, who was the secretary for the Democratic Party in Texas, she said, Patty, I have some wonderful news for you. I've managed to get 2 more tickets. And I know that you and your husband were planning to go, and Huff gave yours away. And I said, well, thank you, Eugenia, but I won't be needing those tickets. And she said, what do you mean you won't be needing the tickets? And I said, well, I can see the president from the rotunda. Now, I had no idea what I was saying. And
you were still in an altered state.
I was in an altered state. I was in an altered state, and I had no idea what I was really saying. And she said, well, from the rotunda, what are you talking about? I said, thank you, Eugenia, I don't need those tickets. So I went through the rest of the week, and Thursday night, my husband was at the lab at UT. He was a geology, getting his master's in geology. And when he came home, I was in the floor. I was dry heaving. I was in a complete and terrible, terrible distress. He had to call a doctor.
So you were dry heaving.
Dry heaving, and this was typical when something really bad was going to happen. I would do that. I did that prior to my father's passing, and so I just knew.
Okay, can I just share something?
Sure.
Okay, when I clear people's energy and transmute dark energies from people, I don't even know if you know this, I dry heave.
No, I didn't.
I didn't think so.
Oh no.
I go into these really dramatic dry heaves.
Yes.
When there's dark energy and just transmuting it out. We've never talked about this.
No, that's
because it's never happened with you.
Well, I've never shared this story.
Hardest story. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So this was Thursday night. Friday morning, I barely could get myself into the car and to the office. And at about 11 o'clock, my boss, Huff Baines, said, there's something really wrong, Patty. I want you to go over and see Dr. Sam Tadero, who was also Lyndon's doctor.
Okay.
And so I was taken over to...
So you were in the thick.
I was in the thick of it.
You were in the thick of it, in the underbelly.
I was in the thick of it.
Mm.
And Dr. Tadero said to me, Patty, what is going on with you? And he said, I've never seen you like this. And I said, Sam, I've got to know what the parade route is. And he said, the parade route? He said, what are you talking about? I said, I have to know. They've changed the parade route. I have to know what the parade route. Where's the parade route? And he said, I don't know what's going on here. He said, I've never seen you like this. And so he gave me a shot of Marazine and a shot of phenobarbital and knocked me completely out. So they called my husband. My husband came from the university, picked me up, and took me to our apartment where we were living. And he left me, and he told me that he would be back later, in the evening. Well, I don't remember anything because he had to carry me into our apartment. I was completely unconscious. I was knocked out. And the next thing I know, the phone is ringing, and I answer the phone, and it's my husband saying, Patty, you're not going to believe And I said, and I came completely, when that phone rang, I no longer was under the influence of Marazine or phenobarbital. I was completely,
Patty,
yes?
just jump in there. Could you re-say that again? We just lost that those words that you started the sentence with. Just re-say what you had the phone conversation on.
That your husband called.
Okay. The phone rang and my husband was on the line, and he said, Patty, you're not going to believe this, but President Kennedy has been shot. And I said, oh my God, no. And he said, yes. He said, he said, there's a rumor that Vice President Johnson was also shot. And I said, no, Vice President Johnson wasn't shot. And he said, well, they're taking President Kennedy right now to Parkland. And he said, he's still alive. And I said, no, he isn't. I said, he's dead. He's dead now, Jared. I said, he is not alive. And so with that, I turned on the television. And as I turned on the television, Walter Cronkite was announcing that President Kennedy had died. And I did make a comment to my husband. I said, he said that that Vice President Johnson had been shot. I said, no. I said, that son of a bitch was responsible for this. And so I had to quit my job. I couldn't be in that environment any longer. And I hadn't been particularly following President Kennedy, but I became absolutely obsessed at that point. I read everything that you could read. I followed every step, every piece of paper, the Warren Report, everything. I was truly obsessed. And my husband and I left Austin very shortly after the assassination. It was in February, and came back to California. And in April of that year, which was 1964, I was in an automobile accident. And I was suffering quite a bit of pain with my neck. And my husband was working offshore on a drilling rig. And so he wasn't home. And I had a series of 3 dreams. And in each of these dreams, I woke up and I was standing in front of a Victorian house. Now, I didn't know this house. I didn't recognize it. But while I was looking at this house, a small boy came out the front door and he waved at me. And I knew that that was Jack Kennedy as a little boy. Well, I had this dream 3 nights in a row. And on the 3rd night, after the little boy appeared, I suddenly found myself sitting in a garden, and I was sitting on this bench, and there was a beautiful big oak tree in front of me. And I thought, where am I? How did I get here? And as I was thinking that, Jack Kennedy stepped out from behind this oak tree. He was in a suit. I mean, he looked just exactly like he did when he was president. And he started walking towards me. He said, don't be afraid. He said, I've come to talk to you. And he said, and he continued to walk towards me until he was standing right in front of me. He said, I've come to ask you to let me go. He said, I've come to ask you to please let me go. I had been obsessing about him, and I was in a really bad state of mind because, I was so upset over his death.
You knew how much it changed our reality.
I knew, and so I truly was obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And so as he walked towards me, and he was standing right in front of me, he said, I understand that you have had an automobile accident, and I'm going to walk around behind you, and I'm going to put my hands on your shoulders, and that's going to help relieve the pain. And I said, but what about your head? And he was looking down, and he smiled at me in the most enigmatic way. And he turned his head this way, and I raised my hand up, and I put my hand on the back of his head. And his head was whole again. There was no hole there. I mean, his hair had grown. And I was just, my mouth was open, and he turned his head back. He smiled again, and he said, you see, I told you, everything is going to be fine. Everything is all right. And with that, he turned around and walked around behind me, put his hands on my shoulders. And the next thing I know, I woke up with a start. And, from that point forward, I no longer obsessed about him, but he's been very much a major part of my life. Now, in 1972, I had not told about these dreams. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and my mother, just before I was born, had gone to this home that I had described to her. This Victorian home with this old gnarled tree on the left side. And I had never been to the East Coast while I was grown up, or when I knew anything about being on the East Coast. And I knew that this house was somewhere in the Cape Cod area, and that there was this tall grass that was laying over, and there were wooden stakes that were wired together to keep the sand from blowing up. And this house was very close to the water. It wasn't far at all. Mm-hmm. And I knew that they called that grass goose grass. Now, I have never been there, even to this day. But my mother, when I told her this story, she was absolutely, she became rigid. She said, you've never told me this story before. And I said, no, I just never thought about it. And she said, well, I was at that house before you were born. And she said it was a museum, and it had been the home of a very famous author, and it had been changed to a museum. Anyway, from that point forward, I've had this ongoing feeling, relationship with Jack Kennedy. So much so that I've had strangers walk up to me and say, if you, Jack Kennedy, that knew Jack, that knew Jack, and said, Jack would have liked you very much. Jack would have really liked you. And I mean, this is in Beverly Hills. Right. I mean, in different places in the country, just strangers that somehow felt and sensed that I had some kind of a connection to him. And even to this day, I really do feel his presence. And, I know that he's with us. And I know that he is guiding a great deal of what's going on now.
Thank you. Very auspicious that you were able to get down the hill today and to be here to share that today.
Yes, I think so. I felt compelled to come down, but of course I had no idea that, that you were going to ask me to do this.
Right.
So
well, anyway, we couldn't have planned it because we didn't know if you were going to be here or not. So, all right, I want to point out two things. One is that the situation, the dream that you had, the precognitive or the premonition.
The three dreams.
Yeah. So the one that happened just before his assassination was 3 days prior, correct?
Exactly.
And what's interesting is I remember hearing years ago, before real-time line manipulation, that we beings were able to identify 3 days in advance things that were going to happen. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
And so I think that has actually shifted, but there's something I remember being told about that. What do you think or feel the purpose of you getting that information was? Or do you think has it even been revealed to you yet?
It really hasn't. Well, in a way, it started me down a path of investigation.
Rabbit hole.
Yes, I went down the rabbit hole, and it changed me politically. It changed. It made me kind of a conspiracy buff, if you would, if you will, because I could, even though I stopped obsessing, you know, that was a very key moment in my life, and I think
It was a game changer.
It was a game changer, and because of that, I don't think there are many things that I haven't read about the assassination, and about all of the events that led up to that point in time.
And the other thing is that you had the 3 dreams then. So there was, you had the dream 3. Yes. So I just wanted to note,
yes,
because we are paying attention to these kinds of things, especially when it comes to codes and the Trinity and threes and whatnot. So I have a feeling that the purpose that you had that experience hasn't even been revealed yet. The sense I'm getting, and we can certainly ask Jack because he's going to be communicating here in a few minutes. I have a feeling that we were meant to meet, and that part of even us meeting has to do with your experience, and your obsession with that, and what now my role in part of this is, which, go ahead, you're going to say something.
Yeah, well, I was compelled when I saw your video that you did on Saint Germain
and alchemy
and James Rink and
his video.
Yes, yeah. His video, and Saint Germain has also been another very important person in my life, and he is a real person. Let me assure you of that. And I have met him personally, physically in Mount Shasta. So, but I did not know at that time that you had any connection to Jack.
Right.
And I remember that I started tracking you, and you were gone. I couldn't find you.
Yeah.
And
I went dark.
And then all of a sudden, one day, I'm on the internet, and of course I'm a Denarian, and all of a sudden I see a name come to me, Deborah Peach, and I said, "Oh my gosh, she's back!" I had no idea, and at that time, when you and I started talking, it was like we were finishing each other's sentences. And even in the first month or so, I had no idea that you had a connection to Jack.
I was very
private
calling him about it,
and you were calling him John, and I said no. I said he's Jack.
Yeah, I'm calling him John, and then it was a couple months later
that he came through and said,
"Please call me Jack."
Call me Jack.
I'm like, okay. So the big piece of this too, just now also connect another piece of the dots here, is that the contingency plan that I've now started talking about, it does very much incorporate Jack. And one of the things that I just want to presence here is that many people are expecting Yeshua. Many people are expecting Jesus, the being that we know as Jesus, to come back and to have the second coming. And I will be honest that when I had the veil pulled back for me back in 2010, and that the communications shifted completely, And I was given carte blanche access. Literally, the words that came through is, we're giving you carte blanche access to information because we're trying to figure out why humanity isn't moving forward, why all you guys are having so many problems. What the community I started because they were talking about Yeshua, they were talking about the second coming of the Christ consciousness, etc. And what I was actually saying to them is, there's so much stigmatism around Jesus. There's so much misinformation or disinformation that has been put out around that being. I literally started saying 6 years ago, look, if we're going to do something and really bring back you and bridge you guys, the ascended masters, with the realm of beings here in the 3D, it's going to have to be somebody that doesn't have religious connotations around them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's then a couple years later is when I started getting these conversations with Jack, these communications. I did not know I was going to be asked to transmit his communications. But what's important here, the presence, is that the energy that Jack holds is, there's several things. One is, we know he was a physical being. It's not like with Yeshua, it was 2,000 plus years ago. And the information that was written, or what was done with his, I'm going to say murder, because I don't necessarily resonate with what was done and how he was then extorted. But many people were alive still when Jack was here. He doesn't have the religious connotations. And so I'm going to actually go in very soon here to bring him through. And I'm just going to ask, as an engager and as a person that is here engaging with this information, to be open to the possibility that Jack as a being is preparing to come back in a way that we can associate his beingness more than somebody like me transmitting his communications.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've already been shown a series of events that are to occur that will actually support that in happening. It's another reason why Patty, why Sean, Scott, Helen, why the team of people are a part of all of this in this field, because this is not just about me or one person or doing this. This is about us creating a unified field to bridge our dimensions and to be able to hold the up level and to be able to hold the frequencies that are powerful enough for the merging of and the colliding basically of more two worlds at least. So what I'm just asking you to do is suspend disbelief and to, again, I'm going to remind you of things that came through in the show a couple of days ago. It's your engagement with your relationship with free will that's important at this time. And after we did the show a few days ago, one of the things that came through was from Jack and from the beings that we are our team of beings, because we have the team of beings that are the physical team that are really being guided to move more into basically being a council, to then also bridge with the beings that are the non-physical so far in our existence. But what was being reminded or what was being shared is that conversation about free will is one of the most important conversations on the planet right now, because the free will is what has been usurped. Mother Earth is meant to be a free will zone, and that free will has been usurped, and that's where we need to come back into alignment with a relationship with that. So even as the information that's coming through, it's important for you to actually be accountable to your own relationship with free will, as well as invoking whatever is in your highest divine good. And I think that this is where another way that we've gotten off of track, because it's become many people have lost that energy of and become complacent and not standing in their power. Right?
Yes.
And when Jack, and you were there, I wasn't. physically.
Yes.
When Jack, but the knowingness that I have been shown and what I've been told is that there was so much hope that was lost at that
Yes.
time.
Heartbreaking.
And heart-wrenching, right?
Heart-wrenching.
And so what happened energetically is it's almost like the planet went into a depression.
Yeah.
And the hope that was lost. What do you want to add?
Well, he's back now because we are finally back again to that point where the things that he was trying to accomplish, that those are the things that are happening now. And that's why he's stepping in.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to restore our currency.
Yeah.
He was trying to change and get rid of the Federal Reserve and bring back a real asset-backed currency, gold-backed currency. And that's what he and President Sukarno were working on with the Green Hilton. And the Green Hilton Agreement, I believe that it was about 11 days after that was signed that he was assassinated.
It was very, very, all right there in the same
all
window.
at the same time. And President Sukarno also, he was imprisoned and, I believe
murdered.
He lived out his life, incarcerated. So these were terrible. These were terrible times. And, it broke the heart of our country. It broke the heart of the nation. And when we were ready back in 2001 to bring all of these things forth again
and bring it online,
then we had, the attack on our country, which
the towers and the whole 9/11 situation.
That's right. It was an attack on our country by our own people. So. That's my belief.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And I believe it was done to stop what was taking place from happening. And so here we are now, another 14 years from 9/11. And, but we are a different people now. We are no longer naive and innocent like we were. We have been,
we've gone down many of us.
We've been baptized by fire.
By fire.
Literally. And now we don't believe what these criminals that are calling themselves our representatives are doing. And the system is wrong. It has to be changed. Because even good men, when they go to Washington, they succumb to the system. And that's the tragedy. And that's what Jack was trying to change. He was trying to change the entire system. And I've mentioned this before, that Jefferson told us in letters in 1812 that the two-party system would doom the republic. So because the inherent corruption that can exist in a two-party system, I don't think we have a two-party system. I think we have a one-party system. We have two heads, the same body.
Absolutely.
And they pretend like they're fighting with one another. But
behind the scenes.
That's right.
And that's the other thing, too, is what you were saying in regards to Sukarno and with this assassination. What most people do not realize is how much then started transpiring behind the scenes. And literally changing the systems that we had been, not even, what's the word I'm looking for, that we were relying on for the balance, the checks and the balance. All that went away.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to ask for, I'm going to go ahead and bring Jack through here in just a minute. And so, live from Reno for a reason. And the work that we've been doing here energetically, we have gotten confirmation after confirmation, and it is profound that, and it is part of the contingency plan, because this money, as we know, was supposed to be released. So the whole situation with Reno is that Reno is the center point. It's the epicenter for this currency to be released now. And the reason we got the guidance to be here and to even do these shows live, to broadcast these live from here, is to further anchor and activate the energies here. And you're going to learn a lot more about that in the months and the time to come, because this is only one of the first locations. So at this time, I'd like to have, I'm going to just check in with Scott. How are we doing? I'd like to actually go into Jack's transmission because he's got a Christmas message.
We're doing pretty well here, I think.
Okay.
You've got a moving backdrop, but other than that...
That's one of Patty's dogs. You hear the little chirp every now and then. She's trying to get up, and she's a little tiny one, and she's been running around back.
I was thinking maybe stage technicians.
Sorry. Now Sean's babysitting them, so...
Very good.
Okay, so how's everybody doing in the live land, the IM chat? All right, so we would just we'd like to presence here that what we are all holding this space for, that we're bridging the energetics for all of the 3D work that's being done in order for this global currency reset to take hold. And we know that it is done. And that this next coming year, this, as we move from this Christmas into the new year of 2016, that everything is going to change. And those of us that are part of this first wave of conscious beings that understand what's going on, that you are each going to be asked, or you are being either asked or being prepared to really step up and to unify with the people around you that are also conscious and aware, because we're the ones that, and we have waited for, and we're the ones that have gone down the rabbit hole and understand so much of this deception that's been going on. And that the people that I do believe that we will see in a very short period of time, the people that have been perceived or labeled as conspiracy theorists, conspiracy nuts, etc. I do have a suspicion that it's going to turn around here very quickly, and that many people and even mainstream news organizations will be turning to us and asking us to assist in the identification of what has been going on. And it is really the only way that we can transform this and transcend this enslavement matrix. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and you're going to stay here? Going to sit here?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, so Scott, there's a high probability that I'll have activation energy coming through. So can you, I'm already feeling it. I've been feeling it the whole time.
Yep.
So
I'm covered.
Be prepared.
Yep. Carry on.
Okay, just to take me off video if when that my mouth starts moving. So the important thing here, that in this transmission, my physical body, in fact, this is my voice is the best it's been in a week, actually. Because when before this week, when I would bring Jack through, when Jack would come through, my entire back of my neck would freeze up. The energy is so potent and so high. What's important for you as an engager and the recipient is that you engage with this energy again. I'm going to presence this again. That you are choosing this from a perspective and a relationship with free will, and that you are aligning with this in a way that is in your highest divine good. And so as the information that comes through, that you can receive it in those vibrations. Now, the other thing is, all of us here that are a part of this show are very astute and masterful at clearing our fields. And this is a foundational element of the work that I'm basically teaching people at this point, because there's been so much infiltration. If you're not engaging with learning how to clear your field with the experiential tool that we have available, I can't even suggest, and would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
That it's
Vitally important.
Vitally important. It actually changes it has the ability to change your life. And the other experiential tools that we'll be putting up on the website as well. But the important thing about that clearing of your field is that it's an activation. It's also empowering you in your I am presence, and it's having you engage. Most people have become complacent about engaging as multidimensional beings. I used to think if I saged and did, saged and cleared and things like that, that was enough, until the infiltration started in 2010. Well, it was actually before that, but the communication about it was able to come through more clearly. So as Jack's communication comes through, please engage with this from, again, your relationship with free will and whatever is in your highest divine good and highest divine truth. And when and if the activation energy comes through, know that my mouth moves very fast. It sounds very odd, right?
It does.
And it's very potent energy. And that's why I have Scott take me off of video, because I don't want you to be distracted by it. This is an opportunity for you to have activation energy. And the more you keep your eyes open, or you think about it, or you're looking at me thinking, how is she doing that? Or engaging your logical mind and asking all sorts of those kinds of questions in the moment, the less opportunity you have to be present for what your higher self might be able to actually be communicating to you in the time of that communication, or the activation. All right, so here we go. Mother, Father, God is creator, creature, supposed to follow, do this. And so, Jack, we're going to ask for you to just be present. Okay, so I'm just communicating with Jack right now. He's telling me what he's about to start communicating. And so what's happening, just so you understand, is I'm switching from actually telepathically communicating, and then energetically I open up my receiving channels, and then he just now starts to verbalize through me. And he's saying, I want you to know this is going to be a very quick message. It's not going to be elongated like the other one. Okay, so Merry Christmas wishes to everyone for whatever it is that you are celebrating, enjoying, family festivities, in your location, aligning with your heart's desires, and opening gifts, and also opening gifts of your own heart. The heart is where we're going in this conversation, in this communication. For what we are bringing forth on the planet, what we're rolling out is a strategy of a revolution of the heart. I am the heart mentor at this time. I am here to bring people and to keep people back in alignment with their heart's desires, heart frequencies, electromagnetic energies. The heart is where the hand and the head meet in order for the manifesting. Now, what he's showing me is when he's showing me actually shaking someone's hand, that he's shaking someone's hand, and what he's showing me is the heart in the hand in shaking the hand, and even the thought process of meeting that person, that there is an electromagnetic energy frequency that occurs in that kind of a connection. And he's saying this is why. The hand has the extension of the heart. Okay, so what is being activated right now is your conscious awareness of when you shake someone's hand or you even hug someone, that your heart is being activated to be a conduit. It's almost as if there's a breastplate, like as if you are wearing, there's a shield that has been placed upon many people's hearts that is creating a separation. And that heart is so important. And he's showing, now I'm being shown E.T., you know, when E.T.'s light lit up. And so that heart light is so important. And what's happened is that there's become through the complacency, but even potentially through the energetic manipulations of what has occurred. Okay, what he's saying is that that heart breastplate is what is keeping people confined to their own incongruencies. So it's important to engage with the essential thing to have the knowledge and awareness of at this time is that those incongruencies are keeping you separate from your own heart and your own heart light. So if you haven't closed your eyes yet, please close your eyes. And what this activation is for the heart to be open, and that as you then reach to shake someone's hand, that the vibration that is coming through the hand, that there's a conduit that's being created. It's actually, there's a multidimensional I'm being shown two things, like when the hand of God comes and even reaches for the hand of man, shall we say, that also in a physical person to person, that hand is being utilized almost as a doorbell, and that you become the conduit. You become the doorbell, the conduit for the heart connection. And that when you look someone in the eye and you're shaking their hand, or you hug them heart to heart, that you're consciously allowing that heart, your electromagnetic energy of I am love, to engage with that other person. This is going to be the beginning of the revolution of the heart. Okay, and then he's also saying the transferring of that energy is not to be condescending. You are to engage with it as the unconditional vibration of love as source. It is not to be, I have something to give to you energy. It is, I am source, you are source. And so you see the divinity and the divineness in that being in front of you. We have lost our affiliation with source. Many have lost the affiliation with source and the divinity within, as well as the divinity recognition of each other. As you become the conduit, it is important that you feel the vibration of source and eliminate any element and all elimination of all elements of condescending or separate or I am better than you. or I have the answers to the way. None of that is true. That is not truth of the highest divine order. The only revolution that will exist on the planet here henceforth is out of the heart. There are codes that are being activated right now in this communication that will further activate the electromagnetic impulses within your heart to allow for the vibration of unconditional love, starting with loving thyself in the frequencies. And on this day, which is the Christ mass consciousness, to begin to roll out in a much more broad scope and eloquent spaciousness way that will be a beingness that will come through each of you as you choose to engage as the conduits of this information, as well as the instructions, following the instructions of the energetics. This is a heart science and spiritual equation having to do with mathematical equations of 369 ascension codes being released in this field at this time. And so it is. We are complete. How are you doing?
Wonderfully, but I must say that it's one thing to get an activation when you're on the internet,
or Skype,
but it is quite another thing to be sitting next to you. I think the top of my head just
crown chakra buzzing, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. As you engage with this, yeah, it's important. I'm just looking at the I am messages. It's really important that you understand the power of this energy and the visceral experiences that you could be having. Don't get in a car and go drive right now. It's important to really integrate and to ground yourself. And if you can take the next couple of hours even to integrate, that it's that much more potent. And please stay in touch, especially through the community, and let us know how you're doing. What I'm just being told right now is that I'm just going to double check if I should say this out loud. There's triangulations that are shifting on the planet right now. I don't have a super, without going into a lot of detail, I can't get into create a context for this. I guess what I'm being asked to do right now is to plant a seed. I'm keep being shown the word shape. And what is being said is that the shape of everything is about to change. There's shapes, even the platonic solids is what's being shown. There is very powerful and potent sacred geometry that is being worked with right now. And what they're saying, what he's saying is, and this is all I'm going to say at the moment, is that the shapes of things are about to change. Molecular structures are about to shift. The frequencies and vibrations that you're experiencing now are not unknown to the planet, but they have mostly been unheard of until now. Oh, Wow, I got. Do you want to add anything?
So many people after the first activation with Jack, I had so many people contact me and tell me that, you know, for 3 days they were in a
Altered state.
Yes, altered state. So be very aware of that as you go through the rest of the day, and if possible, give yourself an opportunity to let this integrate into you. Because it's very powerful. And I'll tell you what, you ought to sit next to her. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Thank you for the blessing of being here.
Thank you
live
for having
and in
me.
person and driving through the snow and the deep snow and everything. And I want to thank Scott for being the master operator there with all sorts of computers and data that you're tracking. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah, I'll just put myself on screen there. Thank you. And if you like, I can share a little bit of what I've experienced at this end.
Yes, please.
Well, interestingly enough, at that point where Patty was sharing her story, and I asked her to repeat because we basically lost the audio. The connection was pretty shaky.
Wow.
Yeah, so I set the intention straight after that for clear communication and technology. And I started humming and chills all over, lots of energy flowing, and really looking at one of the screens I've got going on here, because I've got 7 effectively. And really holding the intention for that to come through okay. So there's, I think, a lot of us who are on the periphery who are holding the field to assist in contributing to this field too. So thanks to all the team who are involved outside of whose faces you might see here.
And yes, there's Helen and Roberta and Nadia, and who else do we have as our team? And Sean, I was going to ask you if you wanted to come and just say hello on camera.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
He's babysitting the dogs.
He doesn't love being in front of the camera. So, and then we also have, oh my gosh, Jan.
Oh, yes.
Right. And
Country Gal. And
yes. So there's a whole team of people that are really, really part of your team that is this unified field. And it's going to continue to expand. And if you are not part of the community and you would like to, remember that the website is wakingupwithdeb.com. And the community, you just go to the top navigation.
And it's global. This is a global thing. I mean, we have Josiane in France. We've got so many, Nadia and Judy in Helen and
Australia.
Scott, we have,
right.
Yes, and Scott. So, you know, this is truly a global community that Deb has created for us. And I still, by the way, have chills going up and down me, and it isn't the cold. Oh my goodness. That was powerful.
And Jennifer is also.
Oh, Jennifer.
Yes. And so this is just the beginning. We are in this together, and we are going to see this through. We will. Now, the other thing too is I'm officially closing this field from the last 3 days. So there's been 3 days now for this field to be open. And remember to engage with the full moon. We'll make announcements for when the next show is. And Sean, are we going to do our show on Sunday? The plan is that Sean and I will still do our GCR show on Sunday. So check the website. And that's been at 6 o'clock on Pacific Standard Time. And we actually have something special that we're planning in regards to supporting you guys that are involved with the GCR. But in the meantime, just remember that, yes, we are in this together. And everything that you've just heard here, to engage with it in, obviously, whatever is in your highest divine good and highest divine truth. You've been tuning into Wake Up, Shift is Happening. And my guest has been Patty McPeak. And I'm Deborah Peach. And our team also, who we also just acknowledged. And remember that we are in this together. Namaste.
Namaste.
Stories become closer. Closer is where we belong. Is anybody listening? Does anybody hear what I say? Is my body dreaming? Are we going the same way? I believe we can turn this world around. I believe we can mend what ties we break. I believe we can turn this world with open minds and willing hearts, saying I will reach for the all inside of me. Now, now. Christmases, may all your Christmases be white.
All right. So, Jeff,
Yes,
you are wearing a beautiful vest.
I am.
And I was wondering if you could share with us where this beautiful vest came from.
This came from the Pyramid Lake Paiute Native American Indian Reservation, made by a woman named Elmira Copeland. Elmira is 82 years old, and she is one of the top. Some of her works in the Smithsonian Institute.
Wow.
And the guitar strap I'm wearing along with the vest, everything was made by hand. Even her relative killed the deer, did the hide, it's all hand stitched. And Elmira does all the beading.
Fantastic. Really beautiful.
Thank you.
And also, I would also just like to share, we didn't plan this, but I'm going to just share a little bit of conversation here in regards to how I know Beverly. And she and I met about 2.5 years ago. Can you guys see her behind me? No? Hi. How about this? So Beverly and I met about 2.5 years ago when so Beverly and I met, I'm being asked to speak up, about 2.5 years ago. And it had to do with the GCR, interestingly enough. And we became kind of instant remembrance soul sisters. And the first time that I was coming to Reno, I called her and I said, I didn't have an agenda. I just was being guided to come here and do some energy work. And I called Beverly and said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to be in your area. And the first thing she said was, well, where are you staying? You have a place at my place. And I was like, okay. We had never met before in person. And that's the kind of person Beverly is. And so is Jeff. And so we are spending this time with them here in Reno. And as you know, Sean is here with us, and you're going to also be meeting the other guest that's here with us today in just a few minutes.
It's a big surprise, you guys.
A big surprise. And there is a reason that we're here in Reno. And what I'd like you guys to visualize, and not just visualize, but engage with now as we go into this third song, is that this field is being broadcast out. And all around Reno, not only all around Reno, but all the way out globally. Now this next song, which is a cover that they just learned, and Jeff came up with the idea for this song. So you want to tell them what the song is?
It's an old Kenny Loggins song, and it's called Celebrate Me Home. And I don't know, I just feel like it was so appropriate for today.
Absolutely.
And what I also would like you guys to engage with as you listen
Everywhere.
We do have White Christmas here in Reno. Of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be bright. Help me, girls.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops listen and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases, may all your
to the words of the song is that home is where the heart is. And we're here in Reno, and right now, this is where our heart is and where our home is. And Beverly and Jeff have opened their home, and it has been absolutely stupendous. And gracefully and easily have allowed for us to do the two shows, the one that we just did on the 22nd and the one here today. And so perhaps there's going to be a lot of upheaval in the coming months, year. And so it's important that we each engage with coming home and knowing that home is where our heart is, no matter where we are, no matter who we are with.
And I just want to say, we have felt so honored and happy to have you all in our home and spending Christmas with us. Thank you so much.
It's been really amazing. Thank you. All right.
Okay. 2, 3, 4. Home for the holidays. I believe I missed each and every face. Come on and play my music. Let's tune on every love light in the place. I finally found myself totally surrounded in your circle. Whoa, my friends.
Please celebrate me home. Give me a number. Please celebrate me home. Play me one more song that I always remember. I can't recall when I find myself so all alone. Won't you sing me home?
Celebrate me home.
Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate me home.
But I'm found again, but I'm found around. Come on, celebrate
me home.
But I'm found again, found around. Come on and celebrate. The intro
was graphic.
Welcome back to Wake Up, Shift is Happening. I'm Deborah Peach, and today is December 25th, 2015. Merry Christmas to everybody who is celebrating this holiday, and happy holidays to whatever holiday you're celebrating, if you are celebrating. Today's show is a very unique combination of closing the energy field from the show that we did 3 days ago. In addition to that, we have two amazing treats for you. One is, I'm here in Reno live with my dear friends, Jeff Davis and Beverly Riley. And we've got live music for you guys. So we're starting off the show today in a very unique way. And they're going to perform three songs. This first song is, it's kind of interesting because I wanted to weave the songs that we were choosing to do. I wanted to weave them into the show in certain ways and kind of set a context. So this first song that they're going to play is one of their, I think it's actually going to become very popular. It's called Ha Ha from Baja. And the funny part about this is your sweet revenge song.
It is.
Okay, well, first of all, hello.
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 Hello. Merry Christmas.
And so when you guys hear the words to this is with this sweet revenge. What I kind of thought about was, there's if you believe in the possibility that there have been people on the planet or forces on the planet and even perhaps off planet that haven't necessarily wanted us to evolve, that haven't necessarily wanted us to experience our great awakening. Well, this might be a song for us to rejoice in the evolution and the awakening and the abundance that we are now experiencing. So I'd like to introduce you to their music, Jeff and Beverly.
Thank you. I wrote a song and just hit number 5. You wish me dead, but now I'm more alive. I'm doing more than maybe just survive. It was a long and really uphill road, but now I know what Jimmy Buffett knows. Just play some country with Jamaican soul. I'll give the case with my freedoms. I'm doing anything I please, so you said I never amount to much, just an old guitar and a pickup truck. But now the radio plays all my stuff. I'll take the case with my freedom. I'm doing anything I please, so well, you took everything except my songs. You thought you were right, reckon you were wrong, so wrong. I'm throwing points out to the cheap horse. Just tip the barmaid with a C note. She treats me better than you did, so I'm in the case with my freedom. I'm doing anything I please, I'm in the case with my freedom. I'm doing anything I please, Thank you.
Okay, and yes, we are live from Reno, and that is the Ha Ha from Baja specialty song for those of us who are going to be singing the sweet revenge as we awaken and transcend this enslavement matrix. So, since it is Christmas, they're also now going to do
White Christmas.
And if you feel like it, sing along.
And we have beautiful snow.